Jesus' name we pray. If you want to type in the comment section, amen, or if you just want to wave, say wave amen. You can do that. uh, so, like I stated, I thank God for everyone that's on. I know that there may be some that's watching through YouTube or Facebook Live. And so I thank God for each and every one, because at this particular point in time, during the month of May, for those who do not know, and I think it's been for the past 2 years, if not 3 years, we have been dealing with focusing on the family for the whole month of May during our Bible study time. And I believe, if my memory is correct, last year, the title of the series was Not So Super. All right. Because too many people think that because of certain families, the way they operate, they think that they are a super family, or they think that that family has superpowers and things of that nature. And that's not really the truth. Because if we are really honest, in whether it's inside the church or outside the church, there is no one perfect family, and every single family has their problems. Every single family has their issues. It's just that some families are able to cover it up better than others, so then nobody will see. Just like we had alluded to, I believe on Sunday or the previous Sunday, where it was like we said in the Tyler Perry play, how you have an aunt that's not really your aunt, that turns out to really be your mother. All right. And you're 40 years old, or you're 35 years old, or even make it plain, you're 50 years old, and you end up finding out that that's not really your aunt in the casket. That's actually your mother in the casket, because they always would say, what goes on in this house stays in this house, and so they wouldn't let out any information, or you would say, oh, that's really, that's my uncle such and such, when in actuality, no, that's your daddy. That's really your daddy. It's just that in the family, they just kept it all quiet. They ain't let nobody know about any of that stuff, and so those are the types of things that would happen in the church, unfortunately, but also it would happen in a family in general, and they would just keep it hush hush. They would sweep it under the rug. But nowadays, this is the type of stuff that we need to explain. This is the type of stuff that we need to share, because so many of us have problems. So many of us have issues, and we don't know where the issue started, or where the problem started, or we don't even know what the family history is. And sometimes we wonder why we are a Rolling Stone, when we did not know that Papa was a Rolling Stone. All right. And so those things are generational curses that are passed down from generation to generation. And so when it gets to somebody that's in the church, all right, and somebody that's believing God, somebody that's trusting God, and they don't know why this is happening, they don't know why they have those proclivities, they don't know why they have those demons, is because somebody did not share, all right, what happened, or why their father or their mother act the way that they did. So they, in essence, don't know what to really fight, all right, because that demon has such a grip on their neck. Their demon's just like, biting their neck, and they're just wondering, why in the world do I feel this nagging? Why do I feel like I have this monkey on my back that's just kind of like constantly pulling at me? And it's because you have that, or we have those demons that are in our family, that plague our family, that we did not know anything about. All right. And so what ends up happening when we get to a certain age, that demon ends up manifesting itself, and it just comes up out of the woodwork, and we're like, oh my gosh, how did this happen? Why did this happen? Where's this feeling coming from? And so during this whole month, we will be looking at and delving into different areas. All right, because on tonight, we are dealing with, the title of the lesson is Hello, My Name Is, and you can put your name in there, and I am a mess. All right, tonight the lesson is entitled Hello, My Name Is, whatever your name is, and I am a mess. And if we want to make it more pointed, tonight we're going to be looking at and dealing with men. All right, we're going to be looking at and dealing with men because there's some jacked up issues that we have as men, and we will not listen to. All right, we will not take heed to. We will not. We'll put it this way. We'll say, "I am man, hear me roar." All those types of things. And we won't take responsibility. We won't take responsibility. And so on tonight, all right, I know that we have several of our ladies, several of our females on. So this will give you some insight, all right, into, all right, why men act the way that they do, why they think the way that they do. Because for some, you were never given that opportunity. You never knew why they act that way, why they talk that way, or any of that stuff. And so on tonight, you'll end up getting some information about it. And if you have a question, go ahead and ask your question because we're coming from John chapter 4, verses 16 through 18. All right, it's John chapter number 4, verses 16 through 18. And it reads on this wise: Jesus saith unto her, Go call thy husband and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband. All right, verse 18, it says, For thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast in not, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that saidest thou truly. All right, meaning, and let me break it down, make it plain, meaning that what you said is actually correct, because the man that you have in your house, that's not your husband either. So in essence, you could look at it, she got 6 men, she's had 6 men, and the one that's in her house right now, that's not even her husband. And so the point that we want to look at, or the first point that we want to look at on tonight is, this is not who I married. The first point on tonight is, this is not who I married. Now, it may seem like, let me put a proviso in here. It may seem like we're dealing with women, but in actuality, it's coming from another angle. It's really dealing with men, because this would be a question that a man would actually ask. All right. Or if you want to put it another way, this is not who I was working with in ministry. All right. This is not the sister who I knew or who I thought I was working with at work. Or this is not the one that I thought I grew up with. All right. At this particular point in time, there's something that's different about her. And this is coming from a man's perspective. All right. So now let me ask this question. And I need for any of our sisters or our brothers that's on to answer this. The first question is this: why are some men so quick to run instead of stick it out? And I'll ask the question again: why are some men so quick to run instead of stick it out?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
They can't take the pressure.
Okay. They can't.
I said that they're weak. They can't take the pressure. They wasn't taught how to stand against all odds, stand in the middle of the test. So they have no backbone. They have nothing there to, strengthen them to say that, okay, I can make it. I'm going to fight through this. So I call them they're weak.
Okay.
Their father didn't teach them how to.
All right. I like that. And question, is that including those who are saved?
I'm not going to say all of no, because there are some men who have been taught by their dad how to stick it out, that you don't run away from the problem, you don't run away from the issues, you fight through it, no matter what, you know what I'm saying? But there are some who have not been taught. And that's just like us women. If we have not been taught, how do we know how to do it? If we have not been taught how to be a lady, if we have not taught how to be a mother, you just take what we give out. We, like you said the other night, we looking for love in all the wrong places. We don't know which way to go. So we do our own thing what comes to mind. And with a man that comes to mind, okay, let me get out of this. Let me run from it. Then I ain't got to be bothered with it. So I'm not going to say for Christian men, but there are some who, it could be both ways.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It could be both ways.
All right. Somebody else want to add?
Yeah, Pastor. I believe that, a lot of times some men they just don't like confrontation. A lot of times because they know where confrontation could take them, sometimes it's best to walk away until they calm down instead of dealing with the confrontation that could cause them to say something that can't get taken back, because provocation will cause us to say things, do things, and once they're said, they can't be unsaid. And then now you have something that you've created that's going to last for years because, oh, you remember what you said, so and so and so and so and so and so. But a lot of times it's just really because in the heat of the moment, men can become physical, and men can become very verbally abusive or physically abusive. And they don't want to get pushed beyond that limit, and we're not allowed to calm down a lot of times. So that's the way I look at
it. Okay. So sometimes men run as a way of escaping, so then they don't end up doing something that's detrimental to the relationship with the female.
It also can be learned behavior.
Okay.
Because if they see, if they see their father do something, and it could be learned, they learn from their father, So it could be learned behavior too.
Okay. All right. Somebody else want to add to it? All right. Yes. Because some of them don't know how. All right. They don't know how to stick it out. They were never taught. They were never trained. It was never modeled. It wasn't learned, the positive. All right. Staying in there. All right. Meaning you stay in the fight. You know how to, or you learn how to express yourself without getting, like they say, verbally abusive or physically abusive. They were never taught how to do that. They were never taught how to use their words. All right. So it was, like Sister Jacqueline will say, it was learned behavior. All right. Or even go another way. They learned the wrong behavior by going to the barbershop and listening to the guys at the barbershop, because the guys at the barbershop were pimps, players, and hustlers, so they was like, yeah, you keep your woman in check by doing this. Or when it gets real bad, all you got to do is just bounce, and you don't have to be concerned about, taking care of anything. You don't have to be concerned about your responsibilities, anything like that. You can just do whatever you want, so sometimes that's another part of it. You get that learned, like you said, that learned behavior by watching or listening to somebody else. And so in that, it's like, nah, you're teaching them the wrong thing. You're learning the wrong thing. And you don't want to learn those types of things. But if those are the examples that were in front of you, and I'm not giving any brother any excuse, but then that's what you learned. And you're just going to, repeat the same process. But then my question would be, what if you have somebody that came up to you and was like, listen, that process that you're going through, or brother, you always on the run. Why don't you stand? Why don't you stay in there? And a lot of times, because that's something different, that's something that they're not used to, they would end up saying, hold up, what am I going to stand? Why am I going to stay in this? She doesn't appreciate me. She doesn't like me. She doesn't listen to me. So why am I going to stay in this? Papa was a Rolling Stone, so I'm going to be a Rolling Stone. I'm going to go ahead and do what I got to do. I'm going to take care of my business. I'm gonna go ahead and make my bread, do what I got. Listen, why do I gotta stay in this? I don't need to stay in this. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel loved. And so that's what happens sometimes with men in our psyche, in our thought process, especially with those who have not been taught. Because I would advise every single man, and I would tell them this: if you think the woman that you have been working with in ministry, or the woman that you have been working with at your job, or the woman that is your best friend, all right, or the woman that you are married to, if you think she's going to be the same exact way 5 years from now, 10 years from now, brother, I'm sorry. You better think again. You better think again, because she is not going to be the same person that you thought she was 15 years ago, that you thought she was 5 years ago. No, forever changing, forever changing. Just as we change, they do the same thing. Who are we as men to actually expect, all right, our sisters to stay the same? We can't expect them to stay the same. We can't expect their thought process to be the same. We can't expect our wife to act the same. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. As we grow, as we learn, we end up growing. We become more mature. All right. Our knowledge. All right. The things that we know. We study, we read books. All right. We watch interesting intellectual put it this way, intellectual stimulation for our mind to teach us things, all right, about how we act, how we react. So if you think she's going to stay the same, I'm sorry, brother, you're wrong. You're wrong. And I would even advise any brother that if you think she's going to stay the same, then I would tell you, you don't need to be married. You don't need to be married. You just need to be by yourself. You need to be by yourself. You don't even need to date. Let me put it that way. Why? Because she's going to change. She's going to change. And even put it this way, to warn our brothers, because we get so enamored with the outside, all right, with the outside or the outward appearance, that we don't even take the time to think about what's on the inside. We don't even look at the inside. We don't even delve into who she is on the inside, because we get so enamored with everything that's on the outside. I really just we get so enamored with the whole outward package. That's what we look at first. We get all of that. We get just our eyes just like, whoa, and we just like, whoa. But we don't think about what's on the inside. We don't look at that. And so what ends up happening is when the inside starts to change and it comes out on the outside, then we're like, hold up, wait a minute. Don't let her get highly anointed. Don't let her develop a real prayer life. Don't let her start speaking in tongues. Don't let her start being able to call on the name of the Lord, and the Lord is answering her like that, especially when we working together in ministry. And then, don't let that happen, because then we will feel intimidated as a man, because we'll end up saying, hold up, I'm supposed to be the man. I'm supposed to be the one that's supposed to be doing it. Well, then if that's the case, step up to the plate and stop running. Let me put it plainly. Step up to the plate and stop running. That's the only reason why she would step up and do what needs to be done, because we won't do what needs to be done. Even though we are in the house of the Lord. Let me put it that way too. Even though we are in the house of the Lord, some of us as men don't do what is necessary. We don't do what is necessary. And so we end up getting scared. We end up getting scared. And we have to also look at it. As men, we got to be willing to be a private eye. We have to be willing to be a private eye detective. We have to be willing to be a private eye detective. The reason why is because we need to be able to see beyond the surface and end up seeing the little girl that's hurting on the inside. That's what we need to be able to do. Because if we don't look, and if we don't pray, and we don't see the little girl that's on the inside, we will end up missing, no matter who it is. Because as men, we have to consistently and constantly remind our sisters that I'm here for you. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not leaving. Your daddy may have left you. Your husband may have left you. Even your kids may have left you. But as long as you're here in this same house and we are worshiping the Lord together, I got your back. I got your back, and you don't necessarily have to worry about anything. You don't have to be concerned or intimidated, because I'm not going to be one of those ones that will sit up there and verbally abuse you, mentally abuse you, emotionally abuse you. That's not me. That's not what I'm doing. Because even making it plain, that's why we have so many cops right now, all right, that are getting offended, because you have so many people that are lumping all of, all right, our law enforcement together. And we have to realize that not all law enforcement is bad. Not all of them. There are some bad apples in the bunch, but there are more good than there are bad. It's just that when the bad happens, all right, we exacerbate it, and the news publicizes it so much that we don't even get a chance to look at or see when a cop does something good. That's a way to, actually, I wish somebody would see this. That's a good way to actually help portray cops in a good light. Show the good stuff that they have done. Do those types of things. And that would end up helping to change our perspective of cops. Because I would even, I got another question, but I'm gonna read verse 18 again. Because it says, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and whom thou now hast is not thy husband. In that thou saidest truly. But let me ask you this question. Why do you think, and it's not going to come up on the screen because I did not give our production coordinator this question, but I'm going to read it to you several times. Why do you think the lady in this verse has had 5 husbands? Why do you think she has had 5 husbands? Anyone? Do you think? Do you know? Just think about it.
Pastor, first I think we got to look at if they were her husbands. They could have been somebody else's husbands. But if they were her husbands, it could be because there were men that were not willing to put or to deal with the confrontation that this here woman will not humble herself to that Jewish rule. She would not submit herself. And it could possibly be that those men were like, well, you're not going to be the wife according to our doctrine. So I'm out of here. But then again, we could always look like he told her that the husband you're with now ain't yours. So it could have been somebody else's husband looking for all the pleasures in another place.
Looking for all the love in the wrong places.
In the wrong place. That's what I wanted to say. Yes.
All right. Somebody else.
Oh, sir.
Somebody else. Why do you think this lady or this woman in the verse has had 5 husbands?
Servicing everybody else's
maybe she had 5 husbands because they didn't want to stick around. They weren't compatible. She was doing her own thing, and they were just, like Minister Guy said, when the Lord had spoke to her, Jesus spoke to her, and she said, I don't have a husband, and one you have is not yours. Maybe she was just out there, and they was just tired of it, and was just like, I'm out. And every time she got a new one, she didn't know how to be a wife. And so it was complication. They weren't agreeing. And so
she didn't know how to be a wife.
I
said she didn't know how to be a wife.
Yeah. And then they kept going on and on to the next one, to the next one. It's the same issue to the next one. And, maybe she was just grabbing them and going like
Grab and go, grab and go.
I mean, that's what it sounds like. You know, the husband that she had was not hers, so she didn't know how to make her house a home. They didn't know how to work together, and she was keep going through it. They were there and it wasn't working. They left, and a new one came and left. It was the same cycle, so she didn't know how to break the cycle. Nor were they willing to work it out, like you talked about. They weren't willing to stay.
All right.
Or they could have. Each man could have been paying attention to her and giving her what she was lacking, and telling her how beautiful she was, and you know how that takes and grab our ears or whatever. So she gave them a shot, and then when they were finished with that one, she was finished with that one, and that one didn't pay her no attention no more. So the next one came along, so she was just getting her thrill on. So that's probably what it was. Like you said, looking for love in all the wrong places, but getting satisfied. You know, after one, you know, couldn't satisfy her no more, here come another one whispering her ear and nibbling on her ear. So she gave him a shot. So no, they was not her husbands, but they were just men who, you know, she had her fling with. So she got tired, or they got tired of her, and then she got to the last one, and that's when Jesus came up to her and said, the one you was right, no, that's not your husband. But none of them were her husbands. So she got all the time.
What her mama did.
Hey, that's right.
Oh,
hey,
did what her mama did.
Hey.
Yeah.
Because
Because the other thing that I was going to say was, in to say biblical times, who was the head of the household?
Man.
The man. So if everything, let me put it this way. If everything is the man's responsibility, and he's supposed to be the keeper of the home, that means he was going to be the one that needed to do what is necessary to fight to keep the relationship together. So then she would not have had 5 husbands. And so if you think about it, the man, at least the first one, was not willing to. There was a possibility that he was not willing to stick it out. He was not willing to deal with praying and fasting and covering his wife. He was not willing to, you know, do what is necessary to build that relationship, to build that marriage, all right, to build anything, all right, when it comes to working together. That's another point, because we also have to, as men, we also have to be willing to be ready to deal with whatever is going on the inside. All right, whatever's going on the inside of her, because we got to realize that there is a lot of pent up emotions that are possibly on the inside, or some inner issues that are on the inside. And we have to be willing to pray and intercede on her behalf so that she can get the release that she needs. Because let me put it this way, as a man, we cannot be afraid, because, and please don't get offended, we cannot be afraid because she's a mess. We cannot be afraid. And let me tell us as men, we love to help fix things. We love to fix things. We love to tinker with things. We love to make sure stuff is right. So if that's what we like to do as men, so why not prayerfully intercede on her behalf so that she can get free from whatever is holding her back? If we like to tinker with stuff and make this and do that and put stuff together, why won't we intercede and pray on this side, on that side? Why won't we do that? Because even, let me make it more plain. We are supposed to be the prophet, the priest, the provider, the protector, all right, in our home. And let me also tell you, we cannot be so focused in on one particular area that we leave the other areas lacking. We cannot do that. As men, we have to be able to multitask. We have to be the prophet of the home, which is so that we can hear from God, speak to our family. We also have to be the priest of our home, which is go to God on behalf of our family. We also have to be the protector, which is the one that watches over our family. So then no wolf, all right? So that no, and let me make it plain, go into spirit, so that no demon, all right, or spirit will come into effect or infect our family, but not only our physical family, but our church family. We have to be the one that intercedes. We have to be the one that is spiritually in tune. It should not always be the ladies that are always interceding. It should not always be the ladies who are praying. It should not always be the ladies who are working the altar. It should not always be the ladies who are sitting up there leading and shut in. It should not always be the ladies who are praising God. It should not always be the ladies who see the demon, recognize the demon, and is going and laying hands on the demon. If we are to be the protector, and if we are to be the provider, that means, listen, we're going to provide every single thing that needs to be provided. We're going to bring it all in, and we're not going to sit up there and just say, well, you know what? I brought this in. That's all I'm supposed to do. Because a lot of times as men, we will get stuck on being the provider, and we will end up working so hard at providing that we will end up forgetting about being a protector, about being a prophet, and about being the priest. Because the prophet and the priest, those are two areas that as men, we will lack in. We will not go hard in those two areas. But as the protector and the provider, oh yeah, that to say, that feels manly. So we'll definitely go after or be hungry in that area of our life. Because that's like, I'm man, I'm King Kong, I'm Godzilla, hear me roar type of thing. Nah, baby, nah, brother, come on. You got to be in all facets, all areas, each quarter. You got to, in order to, let me even make it plain. In order to be a whole man in that house, you got to have all four quarters. Just like, oh my God, let me take it to sport. Just like there's four quarters in football, just like there's four quarters in basketball. In order to win the whole game, you got to play all four quarters. You got to win all four quarters. And in order to win as a man, whether you're talking about in your marriage, or you're talking about in ministry, or you're talking about in a relationship, you got to win all four quarters. You got to be that prophet, that priest, that provider, and that protector. And what ends up happening is, like I stated, some of us will get so wrapped up in being the provider that we are working 16 jobs, trying to bring home all of the bacon and the pig and the chickens and every single thing else. And we don't even realize as a man that all of that providing is not what our family needs. It's not what the ministry needs. What the ministry needs is for you to be healthy, but also for you to be that protector, that priest, especially the priest and the prophet. That's what we really need. The other two, yes, are important, but that priest and that prophet, oh yeah, those are two important areas that you must, as a man, you must excel in those areas. Because how are you going to, let me even put it plainly and challenge us, how are you going to lead your family if you don't know where your family is going to go? I know it's tight. I know it's tight. But how are you going to lead your family? Oh, even take it another way. How are you going to lead your family if you're not going before God on behalf of your family as the priest to hear from God as the prophet, so then he can give you vision for where your family is supposed to go? Because you are so tired from being the provider that it does not give you time or energy to be the prophet or the priest. And you wonder why, we wonder why our kids all right, are so messed up. We wonder why our wife, let me even make it plain, why our wife is having thoughts of slipping and dipping, having a side piece, is because we are not taking care of our business at home. I told y'all before, that's why you would end up having those pimps, players, and hustlers that will come to you, all right, as a wife, and they will ask you how your husband's doing, is because they are fishing for information. They are fishing for information, and they will tell you in a minute, well, what he won't do, I will definitely do. If he ain't taking care of it, oh, rest assured, I'll definitely take care of it. I'll take care of it and then some. You will never have to want for a single thing. Why? Because I know exactly what you're asking for. Because you opened up and you said, not realizing that there was a pimp and a player and a hustler coming in, trying to sneak in the back door. Even the same thing in ministry. Let's take it away from the marriage. Same way in ministry. That's why you have wolves in sheep's clothing. That's why you have snakes in the grass, because they are coming in to try to see how they can divide. How they can divide, how they can sit up there and pull down. And that's why as men, we have to be that priest. We have to be that prophet. We have to be that protector, because we want to be standing at the gate to make sure no snakes come in. We want to make sure we standing there at the gate so that we can sniff out a wolf in sheep's clothing. We want to stand there so that we can know. It's like, listen, hold up, bro. You stop right where you at. Stop, you in the wrong house. This is the wrong house. Nah, you take that somewhere else. Either you come in here correct, or you're gonna have to go somewhere else. Because you're not coming in here, you're not taking, you're not coming in here taking advantage of the sisters that's in this house. Because it's our responsibility to cover the sisters of this house. It's our responsibility to make sure that they are well taken care of. It's our responsibility to make sure that they are loved, to make sure that they don't have a care in the world. It's our responsibility. But if we are so focused in on so many other areas, we will end up being too tired to really focus in on the area that we are lacking in. So let me even continue on, because if we do not know, and let me put it plainly, if we do not know how to do something, then we need to ask God. Ask God to send us someone that can show us as a man what to do and how to do it. We need to ask God, because God will send somebody. God will show us somebody that we can link up with. And if you're single, let me put it this way. If you're a single man, then you need to hook up with a saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized single man. If you are married, then you need to hook up with another saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized man that is married. It's okay to have single male friends, brothers, and it's okay to have married friends. But you can't go and talk to, all right, your single male friends about marriage.
Amen.
Because if you do, there is the possibility that they will give you the wrong information.
Amen.
And even let me twist it a little bit too, because even being saved, they could have gotten burnt and is still in the house of the Lord, and they will give you information because information from a burnt or hurt position, and it'll cause you to look at your marriage or cause you to look at the sister that you're working with in ministry a totally different way. And you'll wonder, why am I thinking this way? Why am I acting this way? It's because the company that you kept, because of who you went and talked to. And then even for some of us men, we wonder why we get the brunt of verbal, emotional, and sometimes physical abuse. Let me tell you, dig a little deeper. If you dig a little deeper and spend that quality time with your sister and listening to her, you'll end up finding out why. You'll end up finding out why. And then it will open up the door for you to be able to help her and minister unto her as a sister in Christ. It'll help you to be able to do that, because you got to be a detective. You got to be a detective. You got to be a private eye and look into and see what's going on the inside. What's on the inside. Because our second point is this. The game is afoot, Watson. That's our second point on today. The game is afoot, Watson. For those who do not know, I love the, Robert Downey. The Robert Downey Sherlock Holmes movie. They were really, really good because his partner was Watson. And even the one that they did on TV, that one was pretty good too. But I like the Robert Downey Sherlock Holmes movies that was directed by Guy Ritchie. Those are really good. And it's a shame that I know who the director is. But if you ever want to watch a good, wholesome movie, that's a good one. And one of the things that I want to allude to with this is Sherlock Holmes never gave up on a mystery. No matter what Moriarty did, no matter how twisted the game was, Sherlock Holmes never gave up on it. He always did what he needed to do to figure out how to get the right answer or how to solve the case. He never let his self or his bravado get in the way. But let me ask us this question. Why are some men so quick to exert their manhood? Why are some men so quick to exert their manhood? Meaning, I am man, hear me roar. I wear the pants in the family. Those types of things. Why are some of them so quick?
Insecurity.
Okay, insecurity.
Want to have control over the woman.
Mm-hmm. Want to have control over the woman.
Territorial. Yeah.
Territorial.
They were taught that. They were taught that men rule, men are the boss. That's what they do. And so they're just operating on what they've been taught, whether it was good or bad, but they don't want to look weak. So in order not to look weak, just be aggressive and strong. No matter what the cost is, I'm the boss.
No matter the cost, I'm the boss. That sounds like a lesson.
Go on and preach it, Pastor. Preach that lesson.
Come on. Somebody else.
Intimidation is a very powerful tool.
Oh.
And some men will feel that they need to be intimidating, especially in the household, because they're not so intimidating out in the world. So it helps them. It helps them become or have that manly thing that I can intimidate at home because I'm menial out there in the world.
Brother Geis, yes, Minister Geis. Yes, Minister Geis.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Because even going to 2 weeks from now, dealing with kids, you think about it, sometimes those who are the ones that were bullied when they were younger, when they get older, they turn out to be the ones that are the bully. Because now they've gotten a lot bigger. They've gotten a lot stronger. They got a little bit more information. But anyone else, why are some men so quick to exert their manhood?
They got the short man syndrome.
Short man syndrome. I hear you. Okay. All right, somebody else. And do you ever think that it could come from a place that nobody reinforced to them their manhood?
Yeah.
That
Most
nobody
definitely.
even encouraged them.
Yeah, Pastor, I really didn't get that relationship from my dad until I was like in my mid-20s. But like you were saying, a lot of times that men feel that is, if I'm providing and nobody's hurting or suffering, I'm doing a fantastic job. And when I began to have that relationship with my father, I could see things that when I was in a really dire position of needing his help, he provided. And then he shared with me his story. And in his story, I could hear that his parents died. He had to take care of the family from the 8th grade. He had to quit in the 8th grade. He had to become the provider. So that's all he did is work, 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 work. And at 8 years old, if his father was doing the same thing, there weren't very many hugs. There weren't very much intimate moments that he had with his father. The intimate moment that he had was that he was being provided for. And I had to forgive my dad because he was never taught to show any kind of intimacy to any of his children, but he was a provider out the roof. And when I realized that because he hadn't been shown intimacy, I vowed that I would always show that intimacy to my children. And I tell you, it's like really huge. If there's no man in the household and there's no manly intimacy in the household, and I'm not saying that the household is strong, but for manly intimacy in a household, it changes the whole perspective of how a household can flow. And a lot of men, like you were saying, they're not taught intimacy. They're not taught like, stop, don't cry. Men don't cry. Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yes, they should.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Yeah, because that cry actually keeps us from having heart attacks and strokes.
Yes. Yes.
That crying keeps us from having heart attacks and strokes. And also it keeps us from being overweight.
Yeah.
Because then we release all of that and we're not trying to find other things to cover it up, our inadequacies, or the short syndrome. That type of stuff. Right. We're not looking for all of that. And even as somebody said, we're looking to try to control all of it. But also, Minister Geis, you hit a great point where you were talking about how they were not shown intimacy. All right. And so what ends up happening is, since they were not shown intimacy, they did not show intimacy. And so besides that, if they had a daughter, their daughter looked for a man that resembled or acted just like her father. So she did not know what it was like to have intimacy or to be shown love from a manly's perspective, because she was never shown love by her father.
That's right.
And even as you're alluding to it, because like they say, real men don't hug and all that other stuff. We give the one-handed man shake with the pat on the back type of thing. It's like, nah, that's not what we do. Yeah, no, it's all right to completely embrace in a manly way.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all right to do that.
That's right.
It's all right to do that, because, oh my gosh, because how are our daughters or even our ladies or our sisters in Christ, how are they going to know what it is like to embrace a man and that man does not have ulterior motives? Because some of our sisters have never been shown, let me put it this way, clean, manly love, period.
Amen.
They've only been shown the kind of love that says, oh, I want to get something later on. Or the hug is lasting a little bit too long and it's getting very awkward. And let me even put it this way. There's even some, like they say, you got that old deacon in the church that just runs up to every sister, is sitting up there kissing her on the face and giving her a ridiculously long hug. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. That is not the way it's supposed to be. And we are supposed to be the protector. We are supposed to be the provider, the priest and the prophet. And as Sherlock Holmes would do, he would do what is necessary to figure out what is going on and what is wrong. He would do that. He would not do it illegally and all that. No, he would actually, like he would say, he would deduce, all right, all the possible scenarios and situations. He would figure it all out and say, okay, let me look at this. Let me add this part to this part. And that's what we have to do as men. We have to learn how to be discerners. Because let me put it this way, some sisters need that manly love, that godly, manly love. But then others need that one where it's like, hold up, you got to be stern. You got to be stern, because she's gotten too much, sometimes full of herself, and she's popping her neck a little bit too much. And you got to say, hold on, my sister, you got to bring it back down. Bring it back down. I'm not Junebug that's out there on the street corner. That's not me. I'm not Junebug. Bring it back down a little bit. All right. Bring it in. Bring it in. Yeah, I see you, Minister Smith, going all like this. Yeah, put the neck straight. don't pop don't pop all that. Nah, just bring it on down. Bring it on down. This the wrong one. This the wrong one. We not out there. Bring it down. And that's what ends up happening. But if we don't take the time as men to learn our sisters, if we don't take the time as men to learn the ins and the outs, and even, let me make it plain, learn the language. Learn our sisters' language. Learn what they speak. Learn why they say. Learn how to read between the lines. Because, oh my God, because even a simple fact that she may say, oh yeah, go ahead and go out. It doesn't bother me. Oh, I don't really have any issue with it. You know what? In actuality, read between the lines. Yeah, she don't want you to go out because it's really bothering her. She really wants you to be at home with her, colored up, watching Lifetime. You may not like Lifetime at all. You may not like the Hallmark Channel. You may not want to watch a chick flick or anything like that, but that's what she's saying underneath. And
yes, Pastor.
Huh?
Can I say it? Yes? You know what? This is so true. And I also learned as a woman too, with the man, they're very direct. So I had to learn to be direct, not to try to get a subliminal message in, because I choose to get frustrated with that. But I also learned how to say what I needed. To get what I needed, I needed to say what I needed. Otherwise, he would go out and I would be upset because I wanted him to come home and stay home and watch the Netflix or the movie. But he was just so literal that I said, go. So I also had to learn to say what I meant and mean what I say.
Yes. Because we'll end up hearing it's like, okay, you want me to go? All right, you saying I can go? We gone. We gone. And even when it comes to doing, like they say, doing stuff in ministry, doing stuff in church, it's the same exact way. The same exact way. That's why everybody will hear me say it a lot. All right. And even some are starting to repeat it. That's why I continue to remind us that we have to spend quality and quantity time with each other outside of church. All right. Outside of Sunday morning. Now, we can't do that right now because we're in the midst of a pandemic and all that other stuff. But when we're able to, that's what builds us and brings us closer together and allows us to be able to say, you know what? I don't like the dress that you're wearing today. It doesn't match. It's not working. And you're a brother telling that to a sister. And she's not going to get offended and be like, who you think you are? What's all that? Nah. Or turn around the other way. Your sister turned around and tell you, brother, your shirt too tight. You got that spare tire coming out, that spare tire, you know, and you got them love handles on the side. Don't nobody want to see all that. You don't need to be wearing skinny leg jeans, and you ain't gonna get upset with her. You're gonna be like, thank you, my sister. Can you take me to the store? Because I need some help. Can you help a brother out? I'm trying to get, trying to get in style and this, that, the other. I'll even put myself on blast. Was out, what was it, Sunday, trying to find some jeans. It's been a long time since I bought jeans. And so I had to ask the queen. I was like, babe, can you tell me what these jeans look like? Because some of the styles that's out there right now, I was like, I don't like it. And I had to ask her. I was like, please just tell me what you think. I was like, I don't care what nobody else thinks. If it looks sexy to you, then it's all right with me. So that's what we got to do. That's what we have to do. We have to learn. All right, brothers, we have to learn their language. We have to learn to be able to read between the lines. We also have to be able to understand that women are changing their minds on a regular basis. And we have to be willing to make the adjustment. We got to be willing to make the adjustment. We got to be willing to make the adjustment. There are always, and let me put it this way, with Sherlock Holmes, there is always a new mystery around the corner. And with our sisters, there is always a new mystery around the corner. And you have to look at it and say, this is a new mystery that I got to deal with right now. Okay, let me deal with that. All right, cool. All right, cool. All right, she wants to do this. All right, let me just make the adjustment in my schedule. She wants me to be home a little bit more, or she needs my help down here at the church. So let me do what needs to be done, or, all of that. I just have to make the adjustment. I have to make that adjustment. And I have to realize, it's like, listen, we got to be able to read between the lines so that we can see what really needs to be done. And so that we can be ready to deal with the mess, whatever it may be. Because if we're not able to read between the line, and if we're not really listening and understanding, then it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult, and we're going to have a hard time as men adjusting to our sisters in church, our sisters in life, adjusting to our wife. It's going to be very difficult because they're forever changing, they're forever evolving, all right? Because they don't stay the same. They don't stay the same, and there's new. They are always new, and that's why we have to be willing. We have to be willing to say, you know what? This may not be who I married when we walked down the aisle. This may not be the person that I was dealing with when we first started ministry, when we first came together, but this is who I got to deal with now. So let me just boil it down and let me just go ahead and get in and do what we got to do. That's what has to happen, brothers. That's what has to happen. And we will come out so much better because of it. We will be so much better because of it. And let me go back, because if that first husband, that the woman at the well, if he was willing to make the necessary changes and to see beyond the mess, to see the person that's on the inside, but also be willing to stick it out. And I'm just coming from the man's perspective. She would not have had 5 husbands. She would have only had one. She would have only had one. Because after coming from another movie, remember the Titans, when Denzel Washington told the defensive coordinator, he was like, listen, it works just like Novocaine. After a while, just give it time, it'll work. And that's what had to happen with this man. And I'm just coming from another perspective. If he would have took the time out and put the work in, then listen, it would have worked out, and she would have never had 5 husbands. Because sometimes we have to look past, all right, the hurt and the pain, because we also have to be willing to deal with the hurt and the pain that somebody else caused. Because a real man of God is willing to stand in there and deal with the hurt and the pain and not run. He's willing to stand in there and say, let me go ahead. I got it. Nope. Let me buckle down. Let me buckle down. This is not going to happen. I may have some issues that's coming my way, but you know what? I'm going to be in. I'm all in. I'm all in. And so that's it. That's all I got. So brothers, remember, be encouraged on tonight. Be challenged on tonight. My sisters, just realize that the brothers are going to make changes in themselves and they're going to have your back. They're going to have your back. All right. That's it. My name is Pastor Lamont Brown. I'm the pastor of Faith Baptist Tabernacle here in Asbury Park, New Jersey, where we are evangelizing to the family while building disciples. I just want to remind you of this one thing. It's already done. Just got to catch up.